me again. I'm back to the old microphone. Let's give it another spin. Try this microphone again one more time. I'm not a big fan of talking into it like this. But the headset had lag, so maybe this won't have that one ear effect. I was getting a lot of feedback where people heard it in only their left ear. Today's date is October 31st, 2022, and it's a Monday. Woo! Today is spooky Halloween. I guess it's spooky if you're short in MMTLP. MMTLP had a terrific day today. It closed at 685, which is pretty good. There was a short interim in the morning where it dipped down pretty far, but it popped right back. And many people like myself who tried to buy the dip, it moved too fast. Hence, I cannot swing trade MMTLP. If you sell now and think you're going to be able to swing this, it can take a long time to buy MMTLP. It can take quite a long time to buy. Sometimes orders take 30 plus minutes to fill. And if you have a big order, it can take all day. Hence, I don't think too many people who know this play are going to swing trade this. It's very hard to do. For those who don't know MMTLP, this is a two-part play here. It's the finality to the spin out into next bridge, which is going to be non-tradable. It's going to be like a private entity. Two, underlying next bridge is 3.2 billion barrels of oil and a lot of gas. The gas is still, we're waiting for confirmation on the gas. It could be anywhere from 500 million cubic feet of gas to 12 trillion cubic feet of gas. I'm not too sure. If you take the average of those two, it's somewhere around 6 trillion cubic feet of gas. If you do the stoichiometry, 6,000 cubic feet of gas equals 1 barrel oil equivalent. So there's an underlying oil and gas asset with great value. I've calculated the value on this many, many, many times. Per share of next bridge, it would give you $32 to $60 depending on how much gas we have. And that is next bridge. That's not MMTLP shares. That's next bridge. That accounts for all the parties involved. That takes out closing costs, miscellaneous costs. I've done the math on that. So I'm known as the math person. I'm Bird Lady and the math person. And this is not financial advice. It's entertainment. Are you not entertained? I wear costumes. I like to be funny. Are you not entertained? But MMTLP had a great day today, and we are still waiting on the s-1. The s-1 can drop anytime. It could drop after hours today while I'm editing this video. It could drop tomorrow morning, pre-market. The approval s-1 could drop anytime. That's where we are waiting for approval on the s-1. How will you know the s-1's approved? Well, if you go to this site, the SEC s-1 website, and you click on the next bridge, hydrocarbons, s-1, that's what you're looking for. If you see dates in this page, then you know it's approved. That's what we're looking for. The last amendment submitted had very little changes in it from the previous rendition. One of the other things in it, again, was a short squeeze warning, which was in the second rendition of amendments, and it stayed in the third rendition of amendments. So there's a short squeeze warning on this. How many other s-1s have a short squeeze warning? There's a short squeeze warning to this because there's a finality to this. What's going to happen is what is known as MMTLP is going to go bye-bye. It's going to be canceled out, and you will be given a series of next bridge hydrocarbon share. It's because of that finality and the cancel out into next bridge, you will receive the share next bridge, which is right now a non-reporting company. It's almost like a private entity. It's a publicly reporting company, but it's not tradable. This is one of those situations that really the holders of the security are in control. They can name their own price. As a result, there's been a lot of talk about this. And I, for one, am very excited because even if my price targets aren't seen on the potential run-up of MMTLP going into next bridge, we know that there's a big underlying oil and gas asset here, which is quite valuable. So seeing a good price action day always makes me excited, and it makes most people excited. I'd also like to point out that over the weekend, 2 more additional permits were filed with the Railroad Commission. That means that there are now 7 wells permitted to drill this year for 2022. To maintain lease compliance, we need 5. So there's 2 additional wells that are above lease compliance. And for those who are not familiar with this, University Land is the landowner of the Oro Grande project. For those who are newer to my channel, oil and gas rights are different than property rights. You can own property with no mineral rights on them. And you can own mineral rights, but not the property itself. They're 2 different entities. So if you own minerals on somebody else's property, you need a lease to get to that property. Torchlight, now MMTLP, which will become Next Bridge, owns mineral rights to this piece of land in West Texas. It sits on university lands, which is actually considered private lands in Texas, which is great. It's private lands. You don't have to worry about the restrictions for drilling on public lands. So we need the lease to access our oil and gas. University Lands says, yes, we will give you a lease for a good price, but you have to do this development program with the land. You have to drill so many wells a year. Okay. So our contingency to keep the lease for a low price is 5 wells for the year 2022. Last year it was 4. We wound up doing 6. This year it's 5, but we're permitted to do 7. We're permitted to do 7 wells. Some people will tell you, oh, you can just hold for $20. You know, you're going to get out at 20. You're going to run at 20. Why would I run at 20 when I know this is going to pay out much higher than that just by holding for Next Bridge? That's what I think. I think the value to the Oro Grande is significant, especially now that I've talked about with other oil and gas companies scrambling for assets. Oil and gas companies are starting to take control of getting assets with their profits. That's what they do. They are not really one to issue out very large dividends, although many do issue out dividends. They're not very large considering the profits. That will crush the stock price too much. So as a result, oil and gas companies will buy back shares. And then they go make acquisitions with those shares, which are already outstanding and authorized. They just bought them back, and then they go use that to acquire other properties. Imagine, and I've talked about this, imagine if a big oil company buys the Oro Grande. Upon a 3.2 billion barrel acquisition, how much that oil company's price will go up. Diamondback's price went up on the Firebird acquisition, which wasn't nearly as much oil and gas, and it went up. Granted, there was a bit more infrastructure in there, but I've talked about infrastructure in oil and gas before. Aggressively depreciated on the books. It goes to 0 depreciation, and it's a 7-year schedule. It's pretty aggressively depreciated. So if those wells are over 7 years old, they're already at a $0 book value. And other news, I will talk about oil and gas. As you know, I have a good friend of mine who lives down at the Eagle Ford, and Marathon is now drilling more wells down there. And I'm going to try and time it so when my friend's property gets drilled more, I can be there. He has quite a few wells on his property already. What they're going to do is they're going to go in current wells and go into different pay zones. You can do, have a stacked pay zone where you come in with your vertical well, but then you go horizontal. Okay, but then another one comes and goes horizontal in this play, and then one comes down here and goes this play, and then one comes down here and goes this play. That's called a stacked pay zone, and they've done it before at his place, but now they're coming back in and hitting other pay zones. So I'm going to try and work it out with my friend to go film down there. Hopefully I can get away from the farm for a few days. Mr. Bird Lady's out at a Halloween party. I'm staying here because I have to put my animals up at night so they're not eaten by predators. And we would get home very late and have to work the next morning. So I thought about it and I was like, if I didn't have to work and somebody could watch the animals, then I could be partying all night. But as a result, it's just me and Mr. Bird Lady here, you know. I'm like, you go be the social one. I'll go make videos about MMTLP. So that's what I'm doing now. Anyhow, oil and gas, they're drilling new pay zones. They're securing more assets. Even though WTI is only at $85 today, the race to secure assets is still on before winter sets in. All of these things are positive for us. All these things are positive for us as holders of MMTLP. And again, it's Halloween, so I guess be safe. Don't party too hard because you want to be alive to see how this plays out. That's motivation. If that's not motivation to play it safe for Halloween, I don't know what is. Okay, guys. Again, we're waiting on the SEC approval of the S-1. And we'll know that it's approved because when the S-1's filed, you'll see dates. And after that comes out, there'll be a company press release talking about the new record date to get the shares of NextBridge for holders of MMTLP. Okay, guys, I will see you soon. Goodbye.